I'd like to call to order the February 25th meeting of the Delaware County Board of Commissioners. And I believe I will have our Deputy Sheriff lead us in the pledge, if you would. Good morning.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm Barb Lewis, President. To my left is Commissioner Jeff Benton, Vice President, and fellow Commissioner Gary Merrill, Mike Fromer, our Administrator, Jen Wall-Raven, our Clerk. We can begin.
Resolution number 19-157 in the matter of approving electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held February 21st, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-157. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
We do not have any public comment today, so that brings us to item number 3, resolution number 19-158 in the matter of approving purchase orders and announce certificates and payments of warrants in batch numbers CM-APR 022 and CM-APR 022.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-158. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-159 in the matter of approving travel expense requests.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-159. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-160 in the matter of adopting a resolution of congratulations to Joshua Deffenbaugh upon earning his Eagle Scout Award.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-160. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-161 in the matter of approving the third amendment to the lease agreement by and between the Delaware County Board of Developmental Disabilities and the Board of County Commissioners on behalf of the Delaware County Sheriff's Office for certain real property located at 149 East Orange Road, Lewis Center, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning.
Morning.
Chief Deputy John Scowden from the Sheriff's Office. Thanks for having me here. I think it was 2-3 months ago, I was here talking about the Second Amendment to the lease with the Board of DD, and now we're at the Third Amendment. I believe the sheriff was in here during budget time talking about our 3-year plan that we would like to do with our organization. This is part of that. One of the things that we're trying to do is get more area covered in the county, have a quicker response time, but we also have to have supervision that covers that, and we don't currently. So one of our reasons for getting more room down there on our lease is to put some of our supervisors down the south end. So beyond that, our office is growing. We are going to a 40-hour in-service this year. We need Area 4 to conduct that training. So there is another section of that building that we're going to use for training and training offices for our training officers. So again, as I said last time we were here, we have a great working relationship with the Board of DD. Jared has been awesome to work with. Chris has been awesome to work with. They've been very forthcoming in anything that we need, and it's a great partnership that we have with them.
Oh, that's
Have any questions of me, I can answer them.
questions, comments?
I think it's great that we're expanding our presence in the southern part of the county, and that's just such a great location. It's very visible. I've had a number of people in the community ask me, what's going on with all the sheriff cars
Right.
in that parking lot?
Well, we want to make sure that we cover the county properly, and our population is on the southern end, so
Right.
that's why we're trying to get everything. We want our organization to run responsibly, but run better, so.
Right.
Sheriff, when you say the 40-hour service hours?
In
what-
service.
In service?
Yes.
Oh, okay. What
It
does
means
that
that
mean?
all of our deputies will get 40 straight hours, so 1 week full of in-service training, and that will
Oh, okay.
consist of things like their firearms, defensive tactics. This year, we're going to do a full day on autism, dealing with people on the autism spectrum. We're going to have someone come in and talk about stress on the job. We're going to have case law updates from the prosecutor's office. So within that 40 hours, we're going to have a tremendous amount of training. So each officer or deputy will get that. Beyond the other training that we send them out to throughout the year and other firearms training that we bring them in for.
Oh, great. And then this can be done at DD.
That is
great.
correct. There's it's kind of a larger room there that we're going to take over that's, we can have approximately 50, 60 people in. We'll also be able to bring in outside training. And also in that building, we have the availability for some of their other conference rooms that hold much larger amounts of people, and
Gee,
we'll
that's
probably be
great.
trying to bring in some more training.
Boy, that's a great use of that space and, all
Yeah, it's a
real win-win.
It's part of DD's plans that Jared, you and I have talked about, is trying to fill the vacant space, and
Right.
great use of that to win-win.
Yes, and we're happy to be able to use it.
Great, yeah,
We're
that
limited right
location.
now.
Yeah, the location, like you say, in the southern part of the county. Vote. Thank you.
Vote on motion 19-161. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-162, in the matter of authorizing the alternate bid number ones and approving the contracts between Thompson Interstate Mowing Incorporated and the Delaware County Commissioners for roadside mowing for 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Morning, Chris Boserman, County Engineer. The contract extension before you is a result of a bid that we did last year for mowing, and in that contract, we took an alternate bid and asked for a price to mow for the second year. And so we're satisfied with that price and the service, and would like to exercise that part of the contract and extend the terms of that agreement for one more year. Glad to answer any questions.
Vote.
Vote on motion 19-163. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-164, in the matter of approving right-of-way work permit summary sheet.
So moved.
Second.
These are
Discussion.
requests for utilities and parties to do work within our public right-of-way. We've reviewed all those and recommend approval.
Vote.
Vote on motion 19-164. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-165, in the matter of submitting certification of total road mileage in Delaware with the Ohio Department of Transportation for calendar year 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Every year, ODOT requires us to certify our road mileage, and they actually send a person in each year to review our records of what roads we have extended, what roads we may have lost due to annexation or other sorts of projects. And so this year, we have that road certification again for you. I'd note that the one of the purposes for this, there are many purposes, but one of them is a small portion of the motor vehicle registration fee, the base fee that everyone in every county is allocated based on road mileage. And so this is a way to make sure that people aren't questioning that allocation based on some mathematical error. So
This is for the gas tax?
this is, what's that?
The allocation, is this?
No, this would be for motor vehicle registration.
Okay.
Now, I believe some of the municipalities and townships receive part of their gas tax allocation based on road mileage, so, but the counties do not.
Okay.
Our mileage for 2018 is 335.929 miles, and that's a change of about
Okay.
0.4 of a mile, or a little less than 0.4 of a mile.
So in spite of annexation, we've grown in,
Yeah, and it's primarily the Wilson Road, the acceptance of Wilson Road out by the Outlet Mall. That extension is the primary, biggest addition, and then there are small, very small incremental changes based on some minor road realignments and annexations.
All right. Vote.
Vote on motion 19-165. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-166, in the matter of approving owner's agreement for Brookview Manor, Section 3, the Heathers at Goff Village North, Section 3, Phase A, and Vinmore Village, Section 4.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
These are all standard development agreements. All the financial arrangements are in order and would recommend approval.
Good. Vote.
Vote on motion 19-166. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 19-167, in the matter of approving the plat of subdivision for Stites Road, Heights to Clark Shaw, Section 1.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
This is a plat that will allow for the extension of Stites Road, north of Heights Road, all the way up to Clark Shaw Road. Typically, we don't see the plat just for the road extension, but that's, as you know, there's an agreement with the developer on how to proceed with that project, and so this plat provides the right-of-way to do that. Glad to answer any questions.
Vote.
Vote on motion 19-167. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chris, could you stick around just
Yeah.
a second? I just have a question after we're done.
Glad to.
From a constituent.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
That brings us to administrator report.
I have nothing to report this morning.
Oh, well, okay, Commissioner Benton.
My turn. Well, while Chris is here, I would appreciate a conversation about the gas tax. Commissioner Merrill and I were at the two legislative updates on Friday, one with CCAO and Knox County, a joint regional legislative update. And then later on, Andy and Rick met with us separately at Source Point with some of the other community leaders. And obviously, a huge topic of conversation was the gas tax and just where it seems to be headed. So I guess I could, if you could kind of give us your thoughts. I think our thinking is that it's probably going to happen. You know, whether it's 18 cents or 10 cents or 12 cents will remain to be seen, but something is going to happen, and they're going to try to incorporate electric vehicles and non-gas tax-paying vehicles into the mix somehow.
Someone yesterday told me they thought it'd be, I won't say who, but they told me they thought it'd be 12 cents. I think the point that Commissioner Van Nye and others made at that meeting was it needs to include alternative vehicles as well. Otherwise, this is the ideal time to address the whole thing if we're going to have an adjustment. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but that was the perspective that we shared.
It is. I do agree with you. The 2 or 3 weeks ago, I testified before the governor. The governor created a task force of industry leaders to kind of investigate this whole transportation funding issue. They endorsed the gas tax, and then shortly after that, the proposal for the gas tax increase was made to the state legislature as part of the transportation budget. So I think that's an important distinction here, is that this is not a standalone bill to increase the gas tax. This is part of a larger discussion about the transportation budget, which is a 2-year budget. Last week, a fellow county engineer and I testified before the House Finance Committee about this issue, and there seemed to be a lot of questions. It was interesting. There wasn't really any discussion about whether or not a gas tax increase was needed. There were just a lot of deep questions about the justification, how and why, and how to make that happen. There was a lot of discussion about the electric alternative, not just electric, but alternative fuel vehicles and how to capture that revenue. I think what we'll ultimately see, whether it's 18 cents, whatever the number is a gas tax increase, a motor vehicle registration fee increase for alternative fuel vehicles where they would pay a surcharge over and above what the standard fee is to make up for what they're not paying in fuel, in a fuel tax. And we're hopeful, and there seemed to be some kind of positive reception for indexing the gas tax so that this process of legislatively going back over and over again and revisiting the rate of the gas tax could be extended or eliminated by indexing that gas tax for inflation. So whether that happens or not, I don't know, but there was a lot of testimony. There seemed to be a broad understanding of that basic issue because gas tax is cents per gallon. It's not a percentage of what you pay at the pump, so it doesn't matter whether gas is $4 a gallon or $2 a gallon, you pay the same amount of gas tax. So to index that and adjust that periodically based on a construction price index or a consumer price index is the proposal. And I'm hopeful that whatever the amount is, that it gets indexed. Our association, your County Engineers Association, there's a broad coalition of a lot of folks that you would expect to be supportive of it, the townships, the municipal leagues, the mayors, but also the Ohio Trucking Association is a strong advocate for this. On first blush, you'd think that they're probably one of the biggest consumers of fuel. They probably are the single biggest consumer of fuel in the state, and we heard them testify that they understand the importance of good roads to delivering their goods and services and providing their service. So I thought that that's very positive that there are people like that who are also understanding the need for it and supporting it. So we got a spreadsheet last week that showed the allocation under the current allocation of the gas tax, the way it's distributed now. If that same distribution applies, I think each county in the state would see about $1.5 million a year in additional revenue from an 18-cent gas tax.
Is that all? Would each county receive the same?
That's the current formula, is that every county receives the same amount of the gas tax.
Well, they're talking about $1.2 billion in annual revenue on, on an 18-cent increase and 60-40 splits of 40% of that's around $500 million, and that isn't $1.5 million per county.
Well, that's 40% to all local governments, so you have.
Oh, okay, municipalities, villages, et
Yeah,
cetera,
get all the
or townships,
municipalities and
villages.
townships, villages in that as well, so.
Right, okay.
Doing the math in my head, if we're getting about 7 or 8 million now from the gas tax?
No, we get about 2.4 million a year. from
Okay,
gas tax.
Yeah.
There was some interesting discussion among the members of the Finance Committee when we testified. As you can imagine, without naming names, the larger counties were wanting to open up a discussion about how the gas tax gets allocated. And of course, the smaller counties like the 188th formula that we use right now, we actually benefit from that. If it weren't for that formula, there's about 5 counties that would consume the vast majority of any gas tax increase. And of course, they have the ability under motor vehicle registration fees to collect a much larger portion than the small counties. And so the 188th distribution is, I think it recognizes that regardless of how many people you have and how many vehicles you have traveling on your roads, that there's a basic cost to running a roadway system. So if it's a 2-lane road system, whether you have 1,000 cars a day on a road or 20,000 cars a day on that road, you still have basic costs of paving the surface, keeping the signs in place, mowing the roadsides, plowing the snow. So the equal distribution of the gas tax, I think, is a recognition of just the basic costs of running a highway department, and that's why it's evolved into what it is. And I think there's general support among our association to leave that distribution formula the way it is.
And some of those smaller counties you're talking about probably have less economic opportunities to get money other sources.
Absolutely.
So-
You're exactly right, Gary.
Interesting discussion. Yeah, thank you.
It does seem to have some real legs. I mean, it really seems to be
Yeah.
a serious topic, and both sides of the aisle are looking at it and interested in doing something, so.
I've expressed my appreciation to ODOT and our new director and about the administration's willingness to deal with this issue and to come right out, in the first month of their administration to come forward with this. They understand it's not a popular thing, but I think the fact that they're willing to tackle it is an acknowledgement of how big of an issue it is and how big the need is. So.
And one other topic that came up a little bit was changing regulations so that we can stretch our dollars further, like prevailing wage, some of the contract bidding and so on. So hopefully that will be received positively at the State House to stretch the dollars that we have further.
Right.
So,
I'm hopeful of that as well.
yeah, we'll see. But anyway, thanks for the input.
Yes, thank you. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, I got a couple of things. As I mentioned, we did have the regional legislative meeting with CCAO in Knox County, and the primary topics were indigent defense, other than the gas tax, were the indigent defense.
Oh, yes,
Which
yeah.
is a priority for CCAO, and that is, the proposal that CCAO is behind, and I think makes a lot of sense, is to have the state take over indigent defense and the Board of Elections, and then get rid of the local government fund. That would be a small pickup to most counties, dollar-wise, but since the state really regulates both of those things completely, I think it does make a lot of sense, and they're both underfunded at the local level. So anyway, we'll see how that proceeds. There was an article this morning in the Dispatch about ditch petitions,
Oh, I heard there was. I haven't read it.
and it was interesting because we had a ditch petition
Yeah.
viewing Friday, Thursday. And the Franklin County Commissioners were kind of scratching their heads saying, why are we doing this? And so now an article appears in the Dispatch saying, boy, this doesn't make sense, to actually have all these
Oh,
commissioners
really?
go out to this ditch viewing. So they're talking about maybe, and CCO apparently is interested in it. I think it makes sense
It does, yeah.
to use drones and other technology or other things in some or maybe even the majority of the cases, instead of having to haul everybody out there and walk through mud and the fields and everything. So,
Now we know why the reporter was there.
yeah, and then the Dispatch reporter was at the viewing, so.
That's right.
So now we
He
know why
was.
he was there. So anyway, we'll see where that goes. I think it makes a lot of sense, one of those impractical things from decades ago that could be amended. Bed tax also came up, and the Fair Board is working on a strategy, and Rick and Andy are aware of, or need to do something, but they need to pull a plan together and articulate just what they're going to do with the $9 million or so that the current bed tax will generate, and then if they want to go forward with another bed tax and how they want to do it is up in the air. So, and what they would need and so on. Our distinguished county engineer made a very excellent presentation in the chamber on Thursday. So I want to compliment Chris on that. I think it was very well attended and a lot of questions, and as Chris's office continues to do an excellent job with our roads, and there's a lot of interest in it, naturally, as you would expect. The Mission Court graduation ceremony was
Oh, I heard that was great.
Thursday,
Friday.
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 And,
That's right.
yeah, Commissioner Merrill was there, and I'm stealing all your agenda.
You are,
I was just gonna, I know,
I can mark off about 3 pages.
yeah.
And it was very well attended. I want to compliment Judge Hemmeter for her initiative to get this thing going, all the mentors that are working on it, including Commissioner Lewis's husband, Jim, and he.
Who was there?
Who was there
Yes,
as well.
he was there.
Tom Foose was the mentor for the graduate, and it's just great because they're really saving lives.
They really
and
are.
saving
They really
families and having a huge impact. There's like 10 people in the program. This was the first graduate. So it's really encouraging. And then last but certainly not least, we have the State of the County tomorrow at lunch, so everybody be sure to.
Breakfast.
Didn't even get a reaction.
We always, yeah. We,
Oh, it's breakfast? It's not lunch?
breakfast.
Jane didn't even react. All right, that's all I got.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good, because everybody jumps in, you know.
Yeah,
They're
that's right.
listening.
And make sure they're awake.
Now, I have to hear what Commissioner Merrill has to say about what happened.
The two legislative meetings on Friday have already been discussed. I am going to add something about the Veterans Court, Mission Court graduation. Last Friday was the first graduate from Judge Himmelder's court on that, and I was extremely impressed. I think it's okay to use the gentleman's name because I think it's public, and David Borkowski was the first graduate of the Veterans Court and did a remarkable job in making his comments, and I think being the first in anything deserves a special acknowledgement, and sitting around some of the other mentors, John Benehoff, and you mentioned Tom Foos, who happens to be the mentor for this gentleman, and many others who we don't know by name or may not know that they're involved. I think Jim Lewis is also involved. But my accolades to all those who are involved, including the judge. And it's the first of many, and they had a number of, I think I counted 14, 15 that were up there who are going through the process now, and it's my hope and my prayer that they all are successful and that they will have an opportunity to be graduating in the near future over the next year. So my compliments to everybody involved, my compliments to the veterans who are willing to put themselves on the line to go through this program, and certainly to David, who was the first. So, and that's really all I have to add.
Well, that's great. That's a good comeback, I'd say. Yeah. I was, while these legislative meetings were being held Friday morning, I was downtown at CCAO for the Justice and Public Safety Committee meeting, and we discussed indigent defense, which is our top priority at CCAO, and it's in our committee. And Senator Brenner actually has a bill drafted. It was sent to council for CCAO, and one change was made to it. It would mean that we could also go when this bill is passed, because it's hard to know, and our county prosecutors here, hard to know with indigent defense how much money should be allocated to this.
About 90 million would make us whole at 100%.
Yes, right. But if it goes over that, then their council suggested then that we could go to the state controller board. So this would mean, as you just said, that our this indigent defense would be funded 100% on the state level. So that took up most of the discussion. We also talked a little bit about TCAP, and Franklin County, Commissioner Brown was there from Franklin County and related to that, you know, this funding now from TCAP, which we did not participate, Franklin County and other counties, Cuyahoga, the larger counties had to participate, but now they have started the program, but then what's going to happen with the funding? So, which is something that we talked about here.
We predicted that.
We did, yeah. We talked about transferring the parole function from the state to the counties. We talked about drug offense reclassification, and developing a third track for commitment of addicted individuals to treatment that's not a criminal nor a voluntary civil proceeding. So it was a really good meeting. There were 21 commissioners from all around the state. So I was really pleased with the various counties that were represented. Former Justice Pfeiffer was there for the Judicial College, and then Lou Tobin from the Ohio Prosecuting Attorneys Association.
May I add something on the indigent defense?
Sure.
The bill you alluded to, which we discussed in considerable detail, does not, the way it's currently, 100% on capital defense, but on the others, it still didn't address the problem. It still says 50%. So that was discussed. Commissioner Senator Brenner is aware of that. And if it doesn't get changed, last year, for example, we we're supposed to get 50%, which is well below what we should be getting, but because the dollars are fixed and the increases, we end up at 42%.
Oh, yeah,
And so
it's lower.
far from where it needs to be, but
Yeah.
that $90 million is the estimate that would make us whole if you
Yes.
increase the budget by that
Yes.
figure, so.
Right. Yeah, and I don't even know if the senator has seen what we sent, or CCAO has sent back to them, because that does have, it's 100%.
And I sent a note to him
across
this
the
morning,
board.
kind of summarizing Friday's conversation. I didn't really want to respond until knowing we were going to see him on Friday. So I copied you on it this morning, so you'll
Oh,
see
okay.
what I sent.
Great, great. And at this time, I would like to recognize our county prosecutor. If you would come to the dais, please. You didn't think you could
That's right.
avoid this? Yes, yes. I would, and speaking for the board, and I'm sure our commissioners will also add a few words, but I can't thank you enough for your dedication, for your service. And it is, when you mentioned that you were going to be, you have, and you can explain a little bit about what you will be doing. It is, I mean, it is wonderful for you and for the state, but we are going to miss you
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank you. What I'll be doing for the state, in fact, I had a reception yesterday. Gary, thank you, excuse me, Commissioner, thank you for coming yesterday. And Jan Antonopoulos was there, and she said Dave Yost indicated he wasn't coming because he felt kind of awkward coming to someplace from where he stole someone. So, I am going to be working with the Attorney General, Dave Yost, and my job consists of supervising 7 of the law enforcement sections within the Attorney General's office. I'll be supervising BCI, and you know Dave stole Joe Morbitzer from Westerville to run BCI, so I'll get to work with someone I've worked with before. Ohio Peace Officers Training Academy and Commission, I'll be in charge of organized crime, special prosecutions, healthcare fraud, crime victims, and criminal justice. And it's sort of like going home because when I worked in the Attorney General's office, I worked in 3 of those sections. Well, I didn't actually work in special prosecutions. I was special prosecutions because at the time they didn't have a section and they just called like 2 of us to help folks out in the state. The interesting thing is it's sort of one of these full circle things again. Bill was the first Deputy Attorney General for law enforcement. The role has expanded, but he was the first. So he goes, I said, I know, you were prosecutor first, you were that first. Yeah, I know, Bill. But I'm looking forward to it. I have been fighting the puddle reaction here because it has been an honor. This is recorded, right?
Well, I'll comment while you're getting your composure.
Okay.
I was privileged to attend yesterday. I told my wife when I left, I came to the office, worked a little bit, and I said, I'll be there for about half an hour. Well, I was there for 2 hours, which didn't surprise my wife when I showed up. He had a great turnout, which says a lot about the people in the county that are very supportive. I don't know the number. I'm not good at counting. I'm going to guess there was 80, 100 people there at the time frame. Well, I was there, and I'm going to guess there was a lot more after I left. And the comment I made to Carol back when I became aware of this, which I think you remember because we talked about it later, I said, I can't imagine anyone other than Dave Yost or Carol O'Brien in this position. And I think it says a lot about the 2 of you and how I feel about the 2 of you. So I wish you the best, and the state's gain is our loss.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
They may have shown up for the free alcohol and food. I'm not sure. So it has been an honor and a privilege to serve as prosecutor for Delaware County. The clients that I have dealt with personally, which is just about every elected official, and others throughout the county, have been a joy to work with most of the time.
She looked at me, I noticed that.
No, I didn't. I purposely didn't, Gary. No, it has been a joy to work with everyone who's been involved with Delaware County, because what I always tell people about Delaware County is those involved as elected officials, those involved as employees in Delaware County work for one goal, and that's to make Delaware County better and to serve the citizens of Delaware County. And my only hope is that my legacy is that I have done that, and that people will see that. You know, for all of you who are elected officials and those of you in personnel, you know that one of the things you never do is read the comments. Of course, I always read the comments because I need to keep you guys out of trouble. So most comments have been positive. I've had a few people who obviously don't like me, and I count that as a win also, because I would certainly hope that I am making a difference in worlds where people don't necessarily want differences to be made. So, thank you.
Yeah, I guess I would clearly like to say thank you, wish you the best. We will miss you a lot. You've really represented one of the key positions, probably the 2 or 3 key positions in the county is the prosecutor and the sheriff. And you've done an outstanding job of representing the prosecutor's office, and professionalism, dignity, you know, developing a good team, you know, putting, you know, handling the tough cases. So again, thank you for all that.
Thank you.
We will miss you.
Thank you. And I'm not leaving. I'll be around. I'm not moving.
I
So,
know,
thank you.
it's hard.
Yeah, this is hard.
It's hard. It's hard for me and as a friend and someone who worked with you. No, I'm kidding.
Don't do this.
But no, I mean, Carol, it just shows with this new responsibility, how good you are and how you're needed. And so that's the only way, okay, you can go do that.
Thank
My
you.
first response wasn't very positive, though, when she told me. I said, oh, no. Yeah, and then I realized later I better congratulate you. But thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, you have brought integrity to this office, and we've had some good prosecutors before you. I realize Prosecutor Yost, but you have just done a marvelous job.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I guess
Okay, I'm going to sit down.
we better go on. All right.
All right, are we finished with commissioner comments?
Yes, I think we're finished with commissioner comments.
Resolution number 19-168, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of appointment, employment, compensation of a public employer, public official, and for collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-168. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
We are now recessed into executive session.
Resolution number 19-169, in the matter of adjourning out of executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion vote.
Vote on motion 19-169. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye. We are adjourned.